Finnish metal band Apocalyptica are known for their energetic mix of symphony and thrash metal. They were originally known for Metallica cover bands, but since their forming in 1993, they've sold over 4 million albums, and today they're playing in Kyiv. And we're joined by Mikko and Eicca. Thank you very much, guys, for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
So it's not your first time in Kyiv. You were here in 2011 before.
And even before that.
And even before that as well.
We've been here quite a few times.
So what was it like the last time you came here? And what are you expecting this time?
It was fantastic last time.
Yeah, it was really, it's really great. Then we had some time to also spend in the city and to see around, and our gig was amazing, audience was absolutely fabulous, so the expectations are high.
Yeah, and also a lot of bands who were due to come to Ukraine have cancelled because of whatever's going on in the country, the war and politics. But you came back, so why did you come back?
We love the country and we love the people, and you know, we are not. We think that you need to bring music for people, especially to places that there might be some issues going on. So it's people need culture and music, and that's why we just continue our tour.
Yeah. And the last time you were here, did you get a lot of reaction afterwards from people who didn't know your band initially? Were they sending you messages online?
Yeah, and it was a great thing. We played then together with Therapy, so we got to kind of like, it was a mixed audience. So some people who didn't know us up front, then they got to know us, and they really loved the show. And apparently, as it's even bigger show than last time, we have gained some more success and knowledge, and it's the positive power of music is amazing, and we are happy that we...
Yeah, and your music is pretty positive, I would say. Yeah.
It might be dark, but it's positive.
Yeah. So tell us about what to expect then from the concerts that you're playing, not just in Ukraine, but you're also going to Belarus and Russia. So what's new about this particular tour?
One of the big things that we had on the last album, Shadowmaker album, we had a new singer, Frankie Perez, who was singing all the vocal tracks on the album, and he is on tour with us. So that's one new element, but also it's going to be a big production show today, really visual, really beautiful images, and it's very developed. And today's show, it's going to be long, like 2 hours, and it's going to be it's a long show, but we have released already 8 studio albums, so there are a lot of songs.
So you're not short of music then?
Yeah, and there's as the show is structured to be very like theatrical and dramatical, so there are lots of changes, and as Eicca said, the visuals are a really big part of our live show, as it's a big part of everything we do. We like to create the whole kind of
atmosphere,
exactly.
I guess, yeah. So not just the music, and your music has changed. I was watching some old music videos of yours before the interview, and like the last 6 albums that you produced didn't have so much this instrumental factor, but now you've brought this in. So why did you make that change?
I think every change has been very natural for us. With every album, we've been concentrating on making music that we are excited about at that moment. And starting with Metallica covers, second album with different covers from our favorite bands and a few originals, third album with original songs, and then fourth album with drums. And then we started to do the vocal collaborations, and it's been just we think that the music we write that dictates, which kind of tools we use for that, and because we have been just writing more and more songs which are written for vocals and with vocals, so that's the reason. So it's been a natural development.
Yeah, how do you choose? Because you do so many collaborations. I was reading your biography on your website, and it's just pages and pages of history, basically. So when it comes to making a new album, how do you decide what to choose and what not to choose? What's your criteria? Or do you not have one?
It has changed a lot, like in the past when we did not have our own singer, what we have now. Then of course, we have met lots of people during the 20 years of Apocalyptica, and we have met these people and talked that on some point, let's make music together. Yeah. And those relationships has then taken in place on albums when we have made music of them, but it's a different story with every song.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a choice. There's not like a special criteria that you have. It's not for your fans. Like, for example, do your fans like say, "Oh, maybe you should do more of this," and they say, "Okay, fine, we'll put it on the album."
That's what we have learned from the very beginning of our career. That there are always a lot of people who think they know better than us what we should do. So that's why we stopped listening to them like 20 years ago, you know, and always been going our ways. It's like, of course, we have always discussion inside the band, you know, which kind of structure for the album we will get, and for us it's been always important for every album, like for the show, live show, to build a drama, you know, like the dramaturgy of the.
So it's like a one show. It's not just the songs, you know. It's just one big performance.
Yeah, and same with albums. We always like that it's a big journey, you know, when you listen to the album from the very beginning to the end, that you, in the end, you feel like, wow, that's what a trip, you know.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And also, you've had like, so many collaborations now. For example, Queens of the Stone Age, like My Chemical Romance as well. So, who's next? Is there like a collaboration that you want to do?
At the moment, we are we stepped into the new phase of Apocalyptica when we took Frankie Perez to be our singer, and at the moment we are so fascinated about the fact that we have actually, Apocalyptica's voice is always cello, but now we have our own vocal voice, which is Frankie, and at the moment it feels really natural to work with him. And
so that's why there are no other plans. We are going to, this tour is going to last until the end of next year, and there won't be very much new music, at least not released before that. And at the moment it's hard to tell what kind of music we want to make after 1 or 2 years, and the music we write, that will dictate whether we are going on with Frankie, which I see a very possible option, because it's great to work with him. But you know, what's the style of the music? We always like to, you know, change things.
So it's like a work in progress. Then you change things as And this, actually, speaking about this now, what's your inspiration for changing your music? Is it like, reflected on world events that are happening, or?
I think everything. And as we tour, our cycle is that we do an album, then we tour basically 2 years around it, and the 2 years wherever we go, the world of music changes. Our ambitious, as we have done one thing intensively 2 years, we might get bored on parts of it and inspired by others. So everything around us. And
we like to challenge ourselves. We want to learn new things. We want to learn new ways to make music and new kind of music. And actually, that's the petrol for the engine, you know, that keeps us going, that always searching for something new.
And what about Ukrainian music? Have you thought of integrating some of this, like Ukrainian folk music? It has a good melody to it. So have you thought of including that into your works, for example? Have you listened to this?
I don't think we've actively thought about that.
Well, there's an idea there for you.
Yeah, that's absolutely an idea.
Everything is possible.
There's also very interesting rhythms in Ukraine, and the whole atmosphere. I'm personally very interested in all folk musics, and I think subconsciously maybe they kind of come to there, but also Finnish folk music and Finnish tradition with the very dark moods, and it's close to our.
I think writing songs and writing music, it's very much about filtering your own experiences through your own personality. So everything you experience in life affects.
Can you give an example of this, like an experience in one of your lives that have kind of filtered into your music?
Sometimes it's music, it might be movies, it might be books, it might be different cultures, different people. You know, you see new perspectives to the world that affects. Usually it's never a particular thing, but sometimes it's like you hear really great music and great song. It's like something I would love to be able to write something equally great, and you know, that might be the motivation. Of course, not copying, you know, things, but you know, like it might be the motivation might come from other music as well.
We were highly impressed or influenced, I would say, of the like late 90s kind of a metal System of a Down and those bands back in the day when we were writing this album. And
then you can hear actually there are some hats-off places that you can. This sounds like System, you know.
Yeah, and it's our bow to them to thank them for their inspiration.
Well, some of these bands are still going somehow. I mean,
just to be open to everything, and of course then some like themes in the world in general, like Shadowmaker. You could see the theme
to new album.
The new album, that the whole theme is that kind of the frustration of the overgoing darkness in the world, and about from micro level to macro level of how in our worlds we carry those Shadowmakers who try to depress us and to take away the light from our being. And
so that's kind of the album is called kind of our fight against Shadowmaker.
So that's your mark that you're putting down there, yeah. I was actually watching a couple of YouTube videos from your concerts before the interview as well, and I noticed that your cellos take a bit of damage, like during because usually when you go to a classical musical concert, it's very gentle, yeah. So how much damage? How many cellos do you get through on your tours? Like,
we are not destroying a lot. No. There are little things there and there, but usually fixable. I think we haven't really smashed the cello since years.
But because Perttu now.
Yeah.
This happened once.
But 2 weeks ago.
He's a bit of a clumsy clown, so he fell on the stage and he hit his knee through the cello. There's this big hole in the back of his cello. That's not fixable.
Not easy to fix.
No, it's impossible. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. And what about your future plans then? After you tour Ukraine, Belarus and Russia, do you have any plans to visit elsewhere, other countries?
Yes, as Eicca said, we toured until next of any year.
January is Japan, then in March is North America, May is South America, then it's a European festival season for 3 months or 4 months, and then we do Australia, Asia, and maybe a little bit more shows in Europe. So it's going to be a lot.
Oh, so it's a big tour then, yeah.
We've done like.
And what's your favourite place that you've been to, apart from Ukraine?
Today
obviously?
It's Ukraine.
Today, this is our best show today. Yeah, absolutely.
And what's your favourite thing about Kyiv, just from what you've seen, like walking around the city?
Human, absolutely, the people over here.
The people. Have you spoken to a lot of people here?
Yes, and that's one of the best parts in this profession. We get to meet lots of people, from the people who we work with to the normal persons on the street, and absolutely loving, warm-hearted people.
And it's in general, you know, the houses might be beautiful and roads might be beautiful, but you know, the people are the thing that makes the different flavor in different places.
And what about bands, Ukrainian bands? Have you met many new groups here since you've been here?
No,
unfortunately not.
You don't have that much time, I guess, you know, because you're like flying in and flying straight out again. Yeah. What was your best concert, would you say, that you've given in the past? What made it your favourite?
That's impossible to say, because we've been playing maybe 1,500 to 2,000 shows during our career.
And you don't know your favourite?
We've been very lucky to play tons of great shows, great venues, great situations.
I think the best moment on a stage is that no matter if it's a big stage or like a smallest club, but when we feel that 5 of us on stage, that we unite and we unite together with the audience, and that's something we aim for every night, and that's kind of the driving force that we are able to go there every day, like with fresh power and all.
But there's always one particular show that comes to my mind when I hear the question. It's like one of the coolest ones as a situation was when we were joining Metallica's 30th anniversary party, and they wanted us to open one of the nights, and the cool thing was that every night they had 4 shows, and every night all the guests and all the opening bands, they were bands that they wanted to have that because they had been influential for Metallica. And it was so funny that because Metallica in the beginning was the biggest influence for us, and the reason to start to play metal by cello. So it was really cool to be invited there. And
you must have been a bit nervous.
No. Absolutely.
If I was playing with Metallica, then be watching those notes. Great. Okay, Eicca, Mikko, thank you very much for joining us on Ukraine Today. Now back to the news.